every few months, there's this thing that gets posted by very prominent FGC creators on Twitter. Some variety, a variation of the idea of FGC content is trash. What can we do to make our content better? And everyone comments on the thread. You get a bunch of quote retweets, and everyone's like, oh, yeah. Well, you could do this or that and this other thing. Note, these are the biggest FGC heads around. You don't see this coming from Max, whose content I'm a big fan of, or VDX, who's newer, to this like more prominent, mainstream of FGC. But a lot of smaller creators get really upset by this. I've never thought about it because I never really thought of myself as a creative. As I'm learning is the term of art. It's creative. I'm a creative. I've always thought of myself as a competitor, as a player, as a fighter, as a winner. That's been my headspace. And being a creator is a newer thing for me to have that be a more of a focus of mine. And so I never really paid attention to the way content creation was talked about by larger creators. Just didn't pique my radar. I just didn't pay attention to it. But some other people who have been following and have been making content much longer than I have, with like attention to their content, as opposed to me, where it was just like, I'm just going to post some things that I think are cool. With no attention to like, is this gonna like do well? Like, I don't know, maybe. Which like works for me, works for me. It helps me get the content out. But those who've been doing this for longer, more intention, get annoyed because I would say let me in because it's so nuanced. Nobody see their either sides, but keep cooking. You want to come in here?
But I am so tired of any variation of that statement. That statement has been on Twitter for the last 12 months, every month of the year. And then sometimes it's on there twice and it turns into something bigger. Okay? I get so heated. Like, y'all don't understand. I literally she was like, there's a conversation that's going around. And I leaned forward. Then she said the sentence and I got him and I was like, I'll come right now. Literally, my phone is on. Hold on. My phone was literally on your stream chat. Like, I was like,
we are now ready for you. We are fully ready.
Okay.
You were on the screen. You were looking at me. I think you're looking at me. Yes, you're looking at me. We're looking at each other.
Yes.
Scene station.
Okay.
Go on. Let him know. Tell him.
Okay. So, you've probably seen the sentence chats, some form of statement, some way of a synonym version of the same sentence for the last year. It pisses me off. What is missing in the FGC? What content is the FGC not doing? How do we grow the FGC? Right? Now, and it makes me mad because people don't listen to me at all when I say this. They just brush it off because they're like, that's not the case. That's not true. Okay, number one, there are creators making what you want in the FGC. That is true. Now, a lot of people, when the creators come in and say this, I saw it in the thread even when I said it. Somebody was like, I've been making this content you want to see. He's like, oh, that's cool, man. Yada, yada. Somebody quote tweeted him very toxic, nasty, very negative. He was like, maybe your content's trash. You haven't seen his content. Now, me, if I was that guy, because I've been listening to, right now the Kendrick and Drake beef, I'm mad aggressive, okay? I've been on off tilt for the whole week, right? Now, if we had to compare content, the dude that said it, his content don't even do a fraction of other buddies, right? But I don't want to be that guy. I just looked and I was like, protect your peace. Sometimes on Twitter, I just protect my peace. Now, the problem with this is there's two sides. People don't talk about both sides. And then there's the third hidden side, the people that understand YouTube, right? So there's the people, the pro players, right? they're not seeing the smaller creators or content because they're not watching content. They're playing the game, they're playing with the buddies, and they know who's good, right? So for them, their bubble in the FGC is even more niche than what general fans or consumers or players of it see. Then you got content creators like people that are get annoyed. I get annoyed because people say that and then don't talk about people. And for me, I can gas myself up. Brian Neff has seen my videos. I've edited for a Diaphone. You know what I'm saying, before. So for me, I know I'm cracked. Alright. But I be humble with it. I ain't got time for all that, right? Then there's the smaller creators, and the smaller creators get frustrated. But the problem is that the smaller creators don't know how to make videos hit to a wider audience, right? A lot of smaller fighting game videos have like the worst titles of all time. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm still learning how to do this. I'm still testing. I don't even think I'm a big creator, by the way. Like, I'm 25K, but well, 24. I'm stuck on the even number. It's always like this. But literally, I don't even consider myself a bigger creator within the space, because I just feel like until I got that plaque, I ain't a big creator. And even then, there's a whole other layer to that. Every time you reach a milestone in content creation, there's always people in front of you that's gonna get opportunities before you, that's gonna get in the door before you, you know. And it's been a challenge in that way where, like, I feel like as a creative that's not a pro player nor has the intent on being pro player, like, I have to prove myself in more ways that I'm valuable to the space and scene, etc. Right? And it's frustrating because, yeah, it's just the smaller creators don't know how YouTube work, and the bigger creators are like, I don't need to know that. I'm focused on me. But then there's the third hidden one, and people don't talk about this. The creatives that already, in quotations, made it, right? Mm-hmm. And you got people like Jam Cross, Rufelmonger, and I don't want to speak for them, but the logic is nobody ever knows what they want, right? You can have a thread for 10 months straight, 12 months straight. I want more vlogs in FGC. I want more breakdowns. I want cam videos with combo trials. And then they don't watch it. It's the same thing when you ask for like supply and demand. But the thing is with YouTube, people will be like, I want you to do this video, yada, yada, yada. You do the video, it's the worst performing video. You have a 10 out of 10 now. Yep. Now you're depressed because you're like, dang, y'all asked for this. I gave y'all what y'all wanted. Y'all not going to support me now? That's just how it is. So at the end of the day, FGC, fighting games, and this doesn't even go for fighting games, make what you want and do the best you can. You know, I'm going to say it the old way. I'm going to say it how the old FG anime YouTube used to say, if you're going to do it like a boss and do it to the best of your ability. Because the third people understand that just because an audience asks for something doesn't mean they're going to watch it and support what you already gave them to click on. You get what I'm saying? You understand that logic? Oh, yeah. So in a way, look, the sirens is like coming after me right now. They're like, he's spitting too much. Okay, listen, the point I'm making is that Tricky, for example, she can do more. She, like, one day she can ask, all right, let's talk about the psychology of fighting games via neutral. Everybody's like, yeah, I want to watch this video. This video is gonna cook, right? She does the video, so 10 out of 10. Now Tricky is sitting there either depressed, frustrated, demotivated, that you gave the people what they want and they don't watch it. That doesn't just happen in the FGC. That happens in every community. You ask for analysis and breakdowns for movie trailers. They do the analysis and breakdown for the movie trailers. It doesn't cook. Then they go back to 5 things you missed in The Dark Knight, and then they get 1 million views. What you gonna think they gonna keep doing? The thing that got them 1 million views. Yeah. So it's like the conversation never goes anywhere. Instead of what I would rather people ask, what's missing from the FGC, I would rather people go, can you link me somebody that does this type of content? Yeah. So much can get done more than just saying that. So much can get done. I get so hurt when I hear that. I be like, yo, please stop asking this question. We're not going to get anywhere. And legit, it doesn't help that People keep asking and nobody is pushing other creatives. It's also very frustrating from my perspective, right? Because a lot of people that watch me, they don't have Twitter. Like, honestly, my audience is smart like that. The ones that follow me on Twitch and YouTube, they be like, I don't have a Twitter. So when it comes down to adding people for like, here's the creators you see that should do this. I've seen Tricky come up a lot because you have a whole mental breakdown, and your content is very unique in this place. Nobody's doing the scientific approach, or just like this big deep dives for fighting games, right? And it's so chill back. It's relaxing. I could watch it. I could not care. Nobody else is doing that. You have something unique, even if it ain't the most edited thing in the world. You ain't got the biggest B-roll. Your content is almost as valuable, in my honest opinion, as a Moist Critical video. And people love Moist Critical videos, but he sit there every day for 10 minutes and he looks at the screen and talks, and he drops like one clip and then he talks again. That's really Moist Critical. That's literally it. But it's frustrating when you see on Twitter, name some creators that do this type of content. And then it's like, well, I'm going to tag Sajam and we're going to tag like Punk and stuff like that. I'm like, but they don't do that type of content. But that's what people know, right? So that's the thing. It's just the conversation needs to shift, or people need to take more action than they said. And it's another thing is a lot of people criticize content nor say how to do it better. I got another hot take. See, now I'm mad. They can cook me for this. All right.
I gotta put music on. Shit, I definitely let you talk without no music on. I mean, maybe you don't need it, but
I don't need the music. Right? I absolutely despise the FGC commentary space a lot because it feels very gatekeepy. And you've probably seen that video on Twitter today where somebody was like, or Mike Ross is like, I don't like how people are doing the on commentary. And I understand that. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
I like it because it adds, it fills up the dead space and air. A lot of people feel like today what I learned is that people are copying, a couple people that started doing the trend in the FGC, right? Like Yipes and etc. And I 100% agree with that. Get your own commentary style. Yep. I try to do my own thing on my commentary. Honestly, I have a cheat code. I'm a content creator, so I can translate the YouTube side of me talking into commentary and just me chilling at the same time, right? It's just doing it live. I've done commentary live a couple times, so I'm still there. Planning on doing it this month too. But like getting mad at somebody doing if you grew up in the hood or you seen a fight, you seen people do that before fighting games, right? Like, so to me, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like nitpicky in a way, and then nobody is helping commentators be better. People are just saying, don't be like them. Yes. What are some tips you should give better? And I'm not dismissing the people that do, because they're not to be hypocritical like with the YouTuber stuff, right? Like saying I don't see them, I don't see this. Like I watch a lot of small YouTubers, right? And I'm in the boat that like, this might be a hot take, right? But most content creators under 10K in the FGC are better than the ones that are 100K plus, 50K plus. Like, and that's because the effort is to put out something great, but also you leave the video enticed, entertained, and you gain knowledge from it. Well, like, I don't hate the bigger content styles either. You got to do what you got to do to make the money, make the bread. I'm never going to critique nobody on that. Like, a lot of people be like, oh my God, he sat there and threw up a reaction. And it's like, I throw up reactions because I love those memories. I still go back and look at my Smash Bros reactions. I still go back to look at when BB tagged and I almost broke my camera reaction, right? Like, I look at those for the memories. My YouTube channel is pretty much based off the legacy of me and content creation and just gaming, right? Yes. I look at it that way. A lot of people may not and probably be like, it's stupid, just do the bag, and yeah, I could collect that if I want to. But being realistic with myself, like in terms of what I covered on the channel, the only thing I should really be covering right now is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. That is one of the biggest games that's gonna come out either at the end of the year or next year. People don't understand that is like Tenkaichi, and when that game came out for Spike, that game was the fighting game of the year, right? And we haven't seen one for over 15, almost 20 plus years at this point, maybe long, I don't know. So it's like, please, people, all I ask of you is number one, share your content creators. If you know somebody, if you watched a video recently, throw them in the hat, like throw them in the conversation, right? You help them a lot more. You motivate them to make content. And the big thing about content creation people don't talk about from either sides is the burnout. You got the people at the top. They have burnout as well, where they're like, all right, I got to do this. This is my livelihood. If I mess up, I die. You have the smaller creators that are like, oh my gosh, my video didn't go nowhere. I want to quit. I hate this. And like, I literally just lost one of my closest friends recently because the FGC doesn't support him how like these other games are supporting him right now. He's completely just dropped fighting games. He's going to ZZZ, Star Rail, gotcha games. All right. And yeah, you see how you said it? That's how I feel. Every time I see him upload, I'm like, I'm happy for you, but I can't stand gotcha games. I hate them. I hate them with a passion.
Same.
Right? They completely go against what I stand for as video games. If you like them, cool. Right? But it hurts that we lost one of the more creative souls in the space because the FGC doesn't support the fun content or isn't looking for it.
Yep.
They wait for Punk to do it or Diaphone to do it. And Diaphone is cool because Diaphone has shown the process of him evolution. Honestly, I'll be honest with you, a lot of my video styles is adopted from Diaphone. I fucking love how he does content. Yeah. But like, they wait for pro players to do it. Can you, like my homie can, for example, my homie did a video, I play Street Fighter 6, but every round I lose a button. Video got 200 views. Punk and them to do it or something like that, 110K plus views. 20K plus views, and that's their target audience and growth, and that's a whole other layer of things, so it makes sense how that works. But it's demoralizing. See other people do your ideas with less effort and cook. That sucks, you know? And I just think the community needs to support both spectrums a lot more. Another thing I hate, and I had to call somebody out. I'm sorry if I'm ranting for a long period of time and you haven't talked.
Let him know. Let him know. Yeah.
But legit, like, there's so many creatives I've been trying to get to talk to for content for the past year. And it's like, I have to sit there and, like, kind of glaze to get them on the video, right? And that's not really me, but I know to get a collaboration going, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, like, I've hit up some of the prominent players in Street Fighter. I've hit up, like, a lot of other people. And I give credit to Kizzy K the most because Kizzy K actually came out and was like, yeah, let's do this. I still haven't uploaded because I was saving it for this exact reason, but I get so tired of seeing it every freaking time, and then nobody's helping nobody. And other companies like Smash Bros, you will see like the most casual 100K YouTuber collabing with the 100K Hungry Box or 400K Hungry Box working together. You can't get that in the FGC because they think you don't know how to play the game. The video ain't gonna be entertaining. They diminish you because of your rank. Like the amount of times I make, if y'all watch my videos, I try to be goofy but informative because I want the energy to hit, and it comes from my background of being an anime, right? But some people will get mad at me in the comments, be like, yo, why you not being serious, yada yada, why you not being this? And I'm like, does that make a good video for you? Go watch somebody else. I don't get mad at that, but like, it's also frustrating when people don't appreciate those things. And I feel like I'm venting at this point, but it's just very it's very tiring to see how people treat the smaller creators and stuff like that, and I just be so blown by it.
Baby, it's fascinating. I'm glad you got to say all that. Yeah, I saw your thread, and that seeing your thread to that is what made me think about. I was like, oh, I never even thought about this, like in this way. And I mean, I've had thoughts about it, but I never had them well organized in my mind as you had just shared with my viewers here, and those who may not have saw Yaya's thread on Twitter or don't follow Twitter because Twitter's a toxic wasteland of hell and no one should be there, but we are. but you know, so if you're not there, good for you. But I I agree with a lot of that. In that, so this is more like from the VF framework that I've been in, where so in VF we haven't had just a problem with content. We've had a problem with our game and people thinking no one plays it, and that like the meme is always, well, basically it was a win if someone mentioned Virtual Fighter at all. So if we were even mentioned, even in the most negative way possible, like, oh yeah, VF community, y'all are dead. At least they were talking about us, right? That's how bad it's been for us. Before that, or now with the newer game coming out and like more content coming out, I think like my content and some other people's content, like the All the Rage. I know all this stuff, but you know, he makes good content that people like, and people who watch that kind of content love it. So I'm glad like he's filling that niche of like fighting game players who like that style. It's not my style, but I'm glad he's doing that. So he's, you know, he can get those viewers, I get my viewers, and some of our viewers overlap. And like I'm very much in the standpoint of like I don't need you to do the kind of content or be the kind of person that I am to like be in this space, right? Like as long as you don't, if you're not in the same space, like don't F with me, because then I'll F you up. But stay in your lane and we'll be fine. Just don't try to get in my way and I won't get in yours. But I will if you fuck with me. So it's very important people know that actually, that I will fight you if you make me. But
go ahead. Not to cut you off here, but this happened like I've been watching now. She probably be shocked when I say this. I've been around since you probably won the first combo breaker, but I remember you was doing saxophone music. I was around then when you used to do the saxophone streams, and I would come in and out sometimes and just say hi, hello, and you know, I used to be scared to approach a lot of pro players because I've had interactions with some that came off very stuck up ish.
Yeah.
So like I would say hi, hello, leave, and then for a long period of time, like I didn't know if content was a thing you were looking for. It probably wasn't even caring about, to be honest with you, but you were just doing it because you just generally loved it. But the idea of it is that like even if I was doing it for just 100% fun, thinking about it in that way, like I would want people to come and watch the content. And I was scrolling through the content, seeing what you were doing, and it was so weird because I remember searching when VF came out on PS5, and I was looking for people, but I don't know if anybody knows. And we had this running gag in the Blaze Blue space, like me and my homies that did cross tag. We were like, yeah, we're not gonna collab with these old game people. They might be stuck up with very like the 09er energy. You get what I'm saying? Like they just be like, ugh, why we should talk to him? Like, you know. So
yeah,
we were looking around and I was like, I came across your channel and subscribed in, and I realized I was like, she's really fucking good at this game. And I'm like, why is she not bigger on YouTube? Right? Like I look at Virtual, even though I'm not good at it, I don't know much about it, I look at Virtual Fighter like the holy grandfather of fighting games. Right? To me, that's how I look at it, right? Even though I don't play it, I know it's very respected across the world in its history, right? It helped push PlayStation. A lot of people don't know that with Tekken as well, but a lot of people don't. That's another conversation that people ain't ready for. But seeing how the game and how y'all haven't had anything for years, it must be already hard to make content.
Yes.
And it's hard to make content because a lot of y'all are just good at the game but don't have the tools. Like you probably, like, not even to roast everybody else, not even to be mean, you have the best setup out of the rest of the people I've seen. Better than most creators in the fighting games. So shit, better than me, right? I just got Elgato shit. Like that's really the honest truth. But like you
Thank you.
care, and not only because of content but what you do outside of it, but you do care, and seeing you grow in these ways that fast just astonishingly changes the game. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a I like we were noticing from the start that like, man, there's so many places to go with this. So like the beginning of my content, it's always been about Virtual Fighter and like creating, like growing that scene. And it's not just that anymore. It's bigger than that now. But like that's where it started, and the impetus for creating anything. And the idea was, well, if I can get folks to just be interested in my content, or even just in me as a person, then maybe I can like transfer them over to Virtual Fighter, and they can see that this game isn't so scary. Because like all these folks are like, yeah, VF is pinnacle of fighting games, and like, you know, I play VF. I'm inclined to agree, but I'm biased because I play that game. I'm really fucking good at it. So of course I'm going to say that's like the best and the hardest, and everyone else says it is too. So like, why would I disagree with them? But there's a problem with that, where because if people are like it's the best and the hardest, people are terrified of the game. They're just terrified of it, so they won't even play it. So this great game that like basically is solving all of the modern fighting game problems that everyone's like bitching and moaning about all the fucking time on Twitter. VF solved that. It's already been solved. We have a fucking game already. Play the fucking game. So like, I get so frustrated because I'm like, bitches, just play Virtual Fighter.
It's so funny because I tweeted out earlier. I was like, fighting game hot takes. I want people to do it because I'm probably gonna make it a video. I just didn't feel like I didn't do the stream today because I just tired. But legit, somebody was like, and I feel like if I put it in a video, it's gonna get people hot. But people were talking about like Drive Rush, right? It's like Drive Rush was cool in Street Fighter 6, and then it got boring, and then every other game after it started adding it. And I replied, right? So that means, are you admitting that every game wants to be Guilty Gear but not play it? And Buddy blocked me, and I started rolling because then he was like, I looked on his page on. I have 2 Twitters, and I was just like, let's see if he gonna tweet me as he blocked me. He's like, damn, he right. I had to get rid of him, and I started rolling. Like I started dying because it's like the answers for your games are there in the community, people. Like, but the problem with Virtual Fighter, there's no content for it. Like, like for example, my thing about VF is that I instantly hate mashed attack. I've always hated that feature.
Mashed attack? What's that?
Like
stagger?
Maybe like when you get hit and then you have to like wiggle the joystick.
Oh, I hate that shit. It's the worst game. It's just there to destroy your joystick. It was there to fucking make arcade have to repair their sticks faster.
I figured that's what it was. But
yeah, it's just there to destroy your equipment.
When I played the new version, and my homie, he plays 3D games all the time, and he hit me with that, and I was like, bro, I'm gonna just go back to my other game. I ain't built for this no more. Or like I literally turned it off, and I was like, I'm gonna just do the review, and then I know the game's good. Y'all have a feature I love. I like using. I swear to God, if every fighting game had that, make content 10 times easier. The little replay when you turn it on. I love that feature.
The best.
Literally, I can just turn it on, and sometimes, to me, that gets me wanting to play the game. Like, even if I know I'm gonna get cooked, I'll turn on and play a game or two and turn it off. It's like the idea of going to the gym for the first time. With VF.
So you know, like buff.
You sit there, you look, you're like, all right, what to do? But you don't want to sit there idly and just be like, why am I standing there looking weird? So then you at the point like, I'm gonna play, fuck it, I don't care if I get cooked. And that gets me every time I turn on VF. Like, even if I make, like, I'll turn on VF to make a point. Like the video we did, I turned on VF for like 10 minutes and I ended up playing it for 3 hours. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even finish the part of the video because now I'm playing VF, right? And that system is so beautiful because you can see the game as you turn on the game, right? And pertaining this to content, to stay on the track with it, it's a beautiful thing to see how creators can learn how to make it, because VF content, y'all do have content out there, but the packaging, I'm not gonna lie, is horrible. Like, y'all have not made me want to play VF. Like, YouTube is like the worst place to look at for VF stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, it's so crazy to me because I would sit there and think, where's the video essays? Where's the, like, why this character's cool? why has nobody made a video on Vanessa yet? And if they are, I know she's probably whack now, but she is one of the prettiest, coolest characters, right? To see in a fighting game.
She's she's the strongest one of the strongest women in the game. She's the strongest woman in the entire game.
Okay.
She's so good. She's not top tier, but she's good.
Yeah. Okay. That's great to know. But it's like, the saddest thing about VF content is that you don't hear about VF content from the creators. You hear people say, "Man, that's in Yakuza though."
Yep.
And I be getting so bad because I'm like, oh, if I promise you, if I was one of those bigger creators and I'm planning on switching my content to be like a theory fighter, right? I'm testing it out this year or whatever. I want to do videos like why this character's cool, why this is cool. Because I'll be honest with you, as a kid growing up, like if there was like distinct big threes of like fighting games, I'm a DOA shield, like real rap. Like I'm a consume. I will play Tina all day. Like I could turn on Tina, Hitomi. I could turn that game on and play it. And all my homies get mad because they be like, "Yo, he know how to play DOA." I was like, "Bro, if I knew about fighting games before 2014, I probably would have tried to be pro at them at that time because I was talking about Dead or Alive, like the end of the world happened. I love DOA.
It's a great game. It's a great game. Yeah. It's So yeah, I mean, this idea of like kind of right. You're saying bring it to the creative idea and like how what do FGC need more?
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that frustration from the standpoint of what do fighting games need more of, and sitting over here at Virtual Fire being like, yeah, we have a game already that does a lot of these things, and like other games are taking from it, and the more like BF they're becoming, the more popular they're becoming. So and actually parallel process for those of you who are, no one else is a psychologist here, but in psychology we call it a parallel process, which is when something's existing in one area and then it's actually happening in another at the same time. So just like in the creative space for fighting game creators, we're saying what do we need to do better? It already exists. In the fighting game space, but the problem is VF content is trash. It has been trash. Also, VF content creators, like for me to make content as a VFer, I took a lot of heat from VF community for doing that. And so did other VFers. Now we don't. Now we're celebrated. But when we started, we were lambasted for it. So we had to really push to even make this content to begin with. Because I think there's a not insignificant amount of people in the community that don't want the game to be popular, that like that it's niche, that like that no one plays it. Because if new people came in, they would no longer be strong. Because the bigger your community is, the more likely is you're going to have some phenom who's going to just body everybody who, now you're no longer a big dog. So there's some of that going on too. But I think that probably also is going on in the fighting game content creator space too. But to keep it focused, so what's the parallel process? The parallel process is virtual fighters content packaging is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Just like our fucking VF YouTube content is packaged horribly. So VF needs to have better visuals. And it can't just rest on, it's 3D. That's cool because it's new. No, everyone's in 3D now. You can just announce. You can't just be like pretty because you have 3D graphics. Now you have to do more than that. So that's...
I love Tekken. That's why I made that video, because I wanted to hear y'all perspective on from VF and to Tekken, because one thing Tekken does really well, I arguably would say out of the other fighting games, it's the impact is so good.
Yes,
it is so good, and it's the sound, the way they design things, it's so good. And there's a lot of people like that. Like, for example, I understand the group of people that want to be gatekeeping with VF and its content in the game, because I'm like that with Avatar a little bit, right? Like, ever since Avatar Netflix came out, for the example's sake, I hate talking to people about Avatar now. Like right now, I'm like, don't talk to me about Avatar, please, because I know you're gonna probably say something.
I haven't seen it yet.
At the same time, I'm also happy that people watching it and it's more memes. So, yeah.
need memes. You need them. You need them. And yeah, and I get the gatekeepiness to the degree of like we want to make sure that this game remains pure. And like Tekken has to deal with that now with Tekken 8. People are like, this is not a good game because it's too aggressive or whatever. But like people didn't like what the FGC community, but also the fighting games as a whole are trying to do is become more mainstream and more popular. And they have to make the market bigger. Which means new people have to enter. There's only so many of us that play this game seriously. There are a lot of folks who play Mortal Kombat who are not serious about it, but they play Mortal Kombat. Same thing with Smash. Mm-hmm. The game is going to have to change in order to attract more people, and it will be different. And maybe eventually it'll become like League of Legends, God willing, and then they can become more complicated again. But like until that point, it needs to find the right balance to get people in. So like in terms of the content I'm thinking about in my content, this video I watched from another small creator was saying how what really attracts people to these bigger names in our scene. It's not the combos. It's not like your skill. People don't actually care about that. I mean, they do to a degree, but they really don't. What they really care about is like you and your story and like the players and the players' stories and like Angry Bird's super cool because like I feel like I know a little bit about what he cares about, what he stands for, and what's important to him. Same thing with Manor RD. Like there's a personality there. We want to watch personalities, not just people who press buttons really well. Now, if you can do both, super awesome. But it's hard to do both, okay? And like I think that's where I'm still thinking about FGC. I'm getting used to not just thinking about Virtual Fighter now. I'm expanding my mind. The FGC needs to, as content creators, also need to like remember, like, oh right, it's not just about us as like it's just about you, but like it is a little bit about you. Like they need to know who you are. We need to be known entities. You can't just be these, non-entities that are playing these games. We need to be real people.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's lost with fighting games. I don't get that from a lot of pro players. I made a tweet a year ago and I was like, it was so mean because number one thing I hate about FGC content creators, and I'm gonna do this for a plug, but I'm letting y'all know. If you have a headset mic on your stream, I'm leaving. I'm turning it off because it's hard for me to hear you. I could hear you, of course. I mean, like if that's what you got, that's what you got, right? Like you got to get what you could get. I ain't gonna judge you for that, but like if you ain't gotta, you gotta get off of the headset and the quality, and then it doesn't help if you're not like one of the most entertaining people with a headset microphone. So it's like it just regurgitates the problem when like the content feels stale. And another thing with fighting games that people don't talk about is how the demographic is, right? It's hard to appeal to the younger audiences because you can't play with friends. A lot of younger people are impressionable and like playing with friends, right? A lot of games are like that now, like to Fortnite, to Dota, to League, to Valorant. And fighting games is one-on-one primarily, which is why like I am excited and hopeful for 2XKO to potentially change and get more people into fighting games, right? So it's like, I just wish like the space value content like other communities value content, because another thing that people don't talk about is like going pro and then your game not having the money from the company or them supporting you, and then you lose the money going to tournaments, like, which is fine. It's because we love it. We love doing it, right? But in terms of content creation, wouldn't you like to have that and that to balance you out? Like, let's say you want to play it more. If you made content work for you, you could do more into what you already love.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge barrier for a lot of people, and that's the answer. As much as you don't feel like it, like, money could be a barrier for a lot of people. And I just want everybody to know that, like, content, I get it. Showing off and being right and giving off the best information is really good. Having a decent understanding of what you're doing. But something the fighting game community lacks is that the content is not pushed all across the board, right? Like, for example, Light the Row is not a pro player, but he has some of the biggest fighting game videos on the YouTube platform, right? He's a very casual person. If I try to do that video, it's a gamble if it cooks or not, right? I really want to try the video, and you won't know until you try a couple times. You won't know, but whew, it's just so much. It's just so much to talk about with fighting games and its content. It just so frustrating when, like, people just complain about it. Nobody, and the people that do complain about the content don't make content. That's the biggest thing that be blowing me. Like, they be like, yeah, I don't like when creators just do tier lists and stuff like that. Then they try to make content and then like, oh, this is hard. Damn, I was wrong. And I'm like, no,
Really?
you don't say. You don't
Yeah,
really
no, it's
say.
hard.
You know.
Harder than it seems. It
Mm-hmm.
it only looks effortless because of practice. But if you don't, just
Yes.
again, just like in fighting games, man. Like when you see top players do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is probably more related to like FGC mentality too,
Yeah.
which is like there's a whole group of people who think you're just born with it. You're just born with the skill. You're just born imbued with the ability to press these buttons because you were just gifted with it. And like, does that happen for some people? Probably a little bit, maybe. But like, no one is born knowing combos or knowing frame data or knowing spacing. Like, you have to practice those things. You have to get better. The rate that one gets better, yes, that will vary, and that can vary drastically. But the fact that everyone has to work to get better at these things is true, and I think partly because of so much of our growth has been hidden over the years as fighting game players. We'd get
Yeah.
better in these little, isolated, non-visible
Bubbles.
communities. No one
Yeah.
could see you when you sucked. You just appeared as this godlike player, and then it kind of added to this mystique of like, oh, you're so godlike. It's like, no, no,
He's
no.
so godlike. Oh my god, can you sign my T-shirt, please? I love that, but like, come on.
Yeah, just
You know.
they just got better faster, and you can get better too if you like try. And you're gonna get discouraged, and when you get discouraged, it's okay. Just keep kind of going, or reevaluate your approach, and that I think applies not just to fighting games, but to content creation, to life more broadly. Like there's a life lesson in this discussion we're having repeatedly every few months or month about the FGC content.
Man, you singing music to my ears. It's like so many people don't do this, and it's like it's the ones that are like it frustrates me, right? Because then you see those people that do get partnered and sponsored that have the ability to get editors on their side. You get what I'm saying? That have the way to fund those resources, and then like they think they all Gucci because they just traveling all the time and stuff like that, and then they get dropped, you know, and then they're like, "Wow, I'm a free agent now." You just play the game for the fun of things, and now you got to focus on something else. And like that's your thing, cool. I ain't knocking that. Like that's fine, but you could probably have content and still keep playing the game, and then be able to pay an editor as well.
Right.
Like everybody can't do it, of course, but there's ways to help grow the path of that career, right?
100%.
When people don't like people, the big thing about content that I noticed, right? Like everybody was doing content during the pandemic because everybody was stuck inside. It's like, F it, might as well try,
Yeah.
like, right? But like with fighting games, it didn't turn into the evolution of the content really. You might have like dwindles here and there. I'll be honest, I wasn't really trying to evolve stuff. 2020 was a year that was very weird for me because of events that happened, yada yada. But um yeah, 2020, 2021, whatever. But the point of the matter is that like it was more people trying to stream, so then it felt saturated. Everybody trying to do one thing, and like, I'll be honest with you, I used to hate streamers because streamers. I used to have that mentality like streamers would just turn the stream on, sit back, play the game, and call it a day. But then I met friends along the way that um, he's a 4-time Twitch streamer, partner plus. I have like 4 or 5 Twitch streamer, partner plus friends that don't do fighting game stuff, but their streams do a lot. They have to do like integrations in the stream. They have to constantly say it's like really for real live broadcasting.
Yes.
There's some streams where you're just doing stuff. That's how it's gonna be. But there's layers to it. While with like most fighting game streams, I'll turn on the fighting game stream and the only thing they're doing is either occasional tier list or they just playing ranked. Right?
Yeah.
Even on my streams, I try to incorporate something that I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, anything like that, just in case somebody takes it out of context. Yeah, but like on my streams, I'm trying to make the opening segment, like the first 30 minutes to an hour, something unique and then evolve from that. That's my whole ordeal with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. It's hard too. That's super hard. I know, like we talked about this, where like I keep changing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Exactly. So I'm constantly tweaking and tweaking because I'll look back and think, I'll watch my own videos back and say, well, that could have been a little bit better. I could have done this, maybe that. Or now that I'm editing a bit more as well, I'm like I saw all the spots where I would say, or so. It's just filler words. It just don't need to be there. Just shut the fuck up, Tricky, and wait till you're ready to say something. Just shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You don't need to trail on with a fucking word. Just let it sit. Like Miles would say, the silence is the best part of the music. The music is between the notes, not the notes that you play.
Why do you remember that?
Because I'm a musician, baby. I spent years of my life, most of my life, learning music.
See, I know that, but like, you hit me with like a relapse of the movie. Like, I don't know if you've seen those memes of like the Gangster Paradise plan, and then it's just the whole movie fast forward. That's just what happened when you said that, because I remember that specific line. And I'm usually the guy, like, people don't know, I'm like an AMV guy. Why I started, let the bodies hit the flow to the Dragon Ball clips. That's my origin story, right? So literally, I can tell you in an episode right now, like I could watch like Naruto and be like, hey, somebody could ask me like, all right, Naruto episode 75, what happened? And I can tell you at 3 minutes and 25 seconds, Sasuke did the combo on Naruto and he cooked him. Like, and that's what you just did to me saying that. I was like, wait, then that happens and then that event's happened and Uncle Aaron and that was beautiful. Carry on.
But it's the same. It's true. Like so like a lot of us, I believe deep down that like as we get better at making content, as our games get better, because like people aren't going to play against trash. They just aren't. And at some point you have to say to yourself, I say to myself, the market will decide. So if the market is saying these games are not popular, well, why aren't they popular? Because there's something wrong with them. What's wrong with them? Well, they're stuck in the freaking 90s. Okay, like they're not updated. They're using shitty rollback or bad rollback or not rollback at all. Like there's so many problems fundamentally with the packaging. Again, going back to packaging of fighting games that is like we as FGC players have just kind of put up with, and because we're just like happy to have a game at all, because we're starving for our games and we like our games and no other game really kind of scratches that itch for us. But if they want this, and we probably do want this to be bigger, want to have bigger prize pools, want to have, more reasonable ability to actually make a living off of this, which, I mean, I don't know that'll ever happen, but maybe in like 20, 30 years from now, potentially. But things will have to change in the game space, in the content creating space, and in the everything around it. Everything's going to change over time. This is the beginning. We're here at the beginning, baby. Get to see the start. Get to be a part of it. It's exciting.
I really think a big thing that people don't talk about is that Tekken, right? For example, I haven't made a Tekken guide since the game came out, and the two Tekken videos I've made from just talking about Tekken's like control scheme and things that like as a beginner, I've made that month like 700k views, maybe like lowest end like 200k, and people don't realize that like capitalizing on your game early on and putting yourself in the algorithm, it's hard, but it can be easy if you're consistent. And like, I don't ask for videos. Like me personally, I don't need a video to be Core gaming level of design. I never ask for that type of stuff, but I just want people to make content that they value, right? Because at the end of the day, the reason here's the honest truth about fighting games a lot of people don't know about. Like these modern fighting games, we waited 2 console generations just to start doing this. While every other game, like PS3 games, we're doing it, been doing like the accessibility from Uncharted, right? We waited till like 2020-ish. I say 2018. And you know, some people will argue Street Fighter 5, but that's a whole different debate. But honestly, to the modernistic style of today, like we just now doing it 4 years ago when all other genres have been doing it for like 10, 15 years.
Yeah. It's so, you know, we're catching up. We're catching up as a community, as a game space, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's gonna take the time it takes, or we'll all crash and burn and it will fall apart, and we'll, you know,